Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Buenos dias. Welcome. Hey, this is Surprise Saturday. Hey, listen, we're working through some things, right? We are working through some things, and we are trying to put it all together. I'm probably going to go back and delete that video that I had on there earlier, but I wanted to go ahead and jump on here because I wanted to just go and let you guys know about the taco fundraiser that we're going to be doing for the Mardi Gras that is going to be happening. The Mardi Gras fundraiser that we are going to be having here at the First Apostolic Church, located at 14151 Roans Quarter Road. And that's going to all those benefits, everything that is donated, everything that is collected goes directly to PATH. We will actually have a what is that thing called? A QR code where you can scan in and your money goes directly to PATH. We've got some local companies, some local volunteers that have shared and donated some of their good food, and it's all going to benefit PATH. So it's going to be I'm so excited to be able to do that for you guys. And again, to give you guys an idea of the Fun Life Coaching while we're waiting on our guests to show up, listen, the Fun Life community is all about you guys being able to be part of an environment, a community that allows you guys to really live out your best and most fun life. And it's really it really goes back to activating that childlike faith that is inside every single one of you guys. Every single one of us has that childlike faith, right? Even the Bible talks about how to every man, every person has been given the measure of faith. And there's just something about having that childlike faith that is very special, right? Even Jesus said, hey, suffer not the little children to come to me. So anyway, guys, that's so awesome that we want to be able to create that atmosphere for you guys to be able to come in and be part of it. And regardless of what happens, regardless of what's going on in your life, your current circumstance, your current situation does not determine or does not dictate where you guys are going to be in the future. So anyway, that's really all we're going to be doing today, guys. And our guest speaker today, his name is Michael Norton. I met him at a Ziglar Legacy Recertification Program, and he really does. He has a awesome, his bio. I should have got his bio to be able to read it off to you guys. But you ever read those things and you kind of get to know a little bit about the person, but then you meet that person and you really understand that they're much bigger than what their bio is. This is going to be one of those one of those occasions. Okay, all right. I'm texting him right now. Matter of fact, he's trying to log on. So anyway, while he's doing that, guys, again, Michael Norton right now, I believe he's the executive vice president for the. Let me pull it up real quick. Sadler. You know what? Hang on. Let me message him really fast so he can find us. Here we go. Let me share. Oops. This is part of it, guys. All right, here we go. I'm going to share. Let me see. Invite Michael Norton. Okay. I sent him the invite, so he should have that pretty quick. Alrighty. Let's see here. Why is my Facebook not showing that I am on live? Can y'all see this? Am I on here? I should be on here. If you can see me, guys, let me know. Just put comment in the section. Yeah, we are live. There we go. Fantastic, guys. Okay, here we go. I'm fixing to bring Michael Norton on live here. Fantastic. You should be able to get that invite, Michael. It shows that it's. Oh man, like I was just saying, this is part of it, man. I am sitting here playing on this computer, man. It's so funny. A little bit of this happened with Tom Ziglar and I, but I can't tell you, Michael, how excited I am to have you on here. And it's just one of those things, right? Like that quote Mr. Ziglar says, that anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until we learn to do it well. So thank you so much for being on here, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and being on here with me.
Of course, man. It's great to see you, Johnny.
Hey, really quick, Michael, I started this thing about 4 weeks ago, almost about a month ago, on Surprise Saturday. And we're bringing people on in the community that I've been able to learn from, that I'd be able to glean from, and met you at the recertification for Ziglar Legacy. And I love the spindle top story that you shared and everybody that came up and shared that story. But tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how this whole thing got going for you and kind of what you're doing now.
Sure. So I've been a friend, FOT, friend of Tom, and friend of FOZ, friend of Zig, since 1998 is when I met Tom and Zig. But I was a student of Zig back in the 80s. I started listening in Automobile University all those years ago, reading all of his books. If you look on my bookshelf back here, I've got every single thing he's ever done. So yeah, I was a big fan of Zig. I tell people he shaped my entire personal and professional life. So I've been around personal and professional development and training and speaking for the better part of 25 plus years. And right now I run the enterprise team at Sadler. So I run a team and we all sell sales training. So.
Wow. Now, how did that happen? How did that transition happen?
So I was the president of Ziglar, and so let me back that up for a second, Johnny. So in 1998, I started a .com company called SalesRepsOnline.com. I had nothing. I had no money. All I had was a PowerPoint. I was looking for investors. I had a great story, and Tom and Zig invited me in to a Monday morning devotional. Came to Dallas on a Monday morning. After the devotion, I sat with Zig and Tom, and we talked about what my dream was and my vision was. And I said, I need a guy like you, Zig, to be my spokesperson. And Zig believed in me, and he lent me his name and his image and his likeness. And I built this massive company, and we sold it. We got lucky enough to sell it. And after we sold it, Zig and Tom asked me if I wouldn't stay on to help run sales and then eventually help run the company.
Wow. So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance.
Man, that is awesome. I'm excited to hear that because I started going, I was challenged by my social media coach back in October to go live for 30 days straight. And all we did was we brought content, we brought hope, encouragement, like Mr. Ziglar talked about. And then we continued on with it. We didn't stop. And then we just started adding Saturdays to be able to bring people like yourself on here to be able to give more hope and encouragement. And really the whole basis for this is right out of the Ziglar storybook. I've got pretty much all of his books over there, but I've got his autobiography there. But it was basically the whole thing of you can have everything in life you want if you'll help enough other people get what they want. And then we took the be more, do more, and have more. And so could you expand on that be more, do more, and have more? What does that mean? How have you applied it in your life? And what are some of the benefits that you've seen come from it?
So let me back you up just a second, if I could.
Yes.
To the quote, you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. So in 2017, already fully employed and doing consulting and having more work than I could possibly imagine having, my wife and I decided to open an ice cream shop. So we opened.
Nice.
We live in a beach community here in New Jersey, and a tiny little beach hamlet called Manasquan, New Jersey. And we bought the local ice cream. And on the ice cream shop, on the wall of the ice cream shop, across the entire back wall, so customers come in all the cabinets are there. They can pick their ice cream. But against the back wall was that quote: "You can have everything in life you want. You'll just help enough other people get what they want." We had 22 teenage girls working for us, different shifts, 4 at a time. It's beach community summer here in New
Yeah.
Jersey. So Johnny, here's what I did. My wife ran the shop. It was her shop. I just showed up, shook hands, kissed babies, petted dogs. I did my thing. And but I would come in every day with $5 bills in my hand, and I would say to the girls, I just randomly walk in and say, "You can't look at the wall. You have to be able to recite that quote." And if they said it, they got $5. If they could tell me a story about what it means, they got $10. If they actually wrote it down on a piece of paper and told me how they saw it applied, they got $20. So for 5 years, while we owned that shop, we propagated Mr. Ziglar's most famous to these girls, and all of our, the little book of big quotes.
Yeah.
I would buy them by the thousands. They sat on my counter in the ice cream shop for free. You bought ice cream, you got a free book of big quotes.
Wow.
We were sending that message out to everybody because it is so important. And when we serve others, when we find the joy in serving others, when we just go make it about the other person in life, your next question, we can be everything we want to be. We can do everything we want to do. We can have everything we want to have. But it starts with that quote, and it starts by living that quote, not just saying the quote, not a nice thing in a book or on a wall. It's by living quote. You can be everything you can be. You can do anything you want to do. You can edit all the things you want to do, but it starts by being the person who makes it about other people. In the Bible, we're told very clearly, make it about others, not about yourself.
Absolutely. Wow, that is very profound. I love it. I mean, I've got my own little stash of books that anybody I get a chance to give that out to, I give them a book. I give them the electronic version. I give them the actual copy itself, because this is one of those things. Mr. Ziglar, even though he passed away in 2012, is still that butterfly effect, right? That compound. It's still impacting lives through people like yourself, myself, Tom. I mean, he's doing amazing work over there. I can't wait to get reunited again with everybody again this year, but it's just something about what you just said a while ago. It's one thing to know the quote. It's an entirely different thing to live it. Man, that is a writer downer, I call it.
So let me share. Fast forward. So one of my neighbors, their daughter worked for us as soon as she was old enough to work in our ice cream shop, and then she went away to college. She worked for 4 years, and then she went away to college. So she came back this summer, and she was having a party at her house, and we were invited. The parents were there, the kids and everybody were there, and I walked up to her, and I held a $5 bill in my hand, and I didn't even have to say, "Can you say the quote?" All of a sudden, she just, in front of all of her friends, said, "You can have it in life you want. Just help enough other people get what they want." She said, "Mr. Norton, I take that with me to school. I took it with me to school. I tell everybody about that quote." It's not, dude, we just keep passing it on, man. We just keep passing it on.
Yeah, almost like that pay it forward thing.
You just be, do, have. You want to be, do, have. Make it about other people, and you will be, do, have anything you want in life.
Yeah. I heard a quote a while back, and because we do marketing, we do mortgage lending, we help real estate agents, we coach real estate agents. Be, do, have, not just to have, right? We're not just blessed to be a blessing. We're blessed to be a blessing, not just blessed to be blessed. But we talk about numbers, right? And we talk about, it's not how many people you see, it's how you see the many people. The quality versus the quantity. Yeah, over time, if you're just starting out, quantity is important, right? It's a numbers game, everything, and then you start to get a better narrative, and you start to get better questions and better closings. I tell you what, when Ziglar introduced me to Bob Tiede asking questions, wow, my whole career changed. Better questions, better quality conversations, better insight. And so let me ask you this, just out of curiosity, what was that one defining moment in your life that took you from where you were to that gave you that belief factor of where you are now, and basically gave you the, wow, this is doable. We can do this.
It was the day I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior. Nothing more, nothing less. I lived a fake life for a long time. I kept saying I was a Christian, and I wasn't. And the day that when I finally said, this is it. You are my guy. You are who I'm going to live for. And I heard Zig talk about it for years and years and years. And again, I was fake. I was a phony. And until the day I'm yours, you're mine, abide in me, I'll abide in you. That's when it changed, Johnny. That's just when it changed.
Wow. Yes. Right. Put God first. Matthew 6:33. All these things will be added unto you. Man, I tell you what, we do so much scripture, and that's what really helped me gravitate towards it. I was 19 years old, selling timeshare, and I've never heard of personal growth, never heard of self-development, I wasn't a reader. I was not a book guy. But the company sent us to the American Airlines arena in Dallas to go hear this one of these Peter Lowe seminars. And Zig Ziglar was there. Tom was probably there selling books. But you're right. You know, that was back in the late 90s, 97, 98, somewhere around there. And sure enough, I heard Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy was there, Colin Powell was there, Christopher Reeves was there. But when Zig took the stage, I mean, that I've never seen anybody command a room like Zig. I mean, literally everybody was bated breath, waiting to hear the story. And when you hear the concept of never make a point without telling a story and never tell a story without making a point, Zig was like the man.
Yeah.
And I mean, just it's amazing how going back 19 years old, me and my wife playing cassettes in the truck, right? Automobile University. And now I get to text Tom, and Julie lives close to us, and she's going to be on here pretty soon. And we get to visit with people like you. It's amazing how that butterfly effect just keeps evolving and keeps unfolding. And we're just trusting God and putting one foot in front of the other, and then just allowing him to lead us, because it's that when you get out of your comfort zone. Can you talk about that, the kind of pushing away from the shoreline, that courage to be able to get out of what you've been doing? Yesterday was Groundhog's Day, right? Doing the same thing over and over again from the movie. And I talked about that, but could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So do you remember the story about Jesus walking on the water?
Yes.
So he's walking on the water, and there's 12 disciples in the boat, but only one got out. Peter, the only one who took the leap. So we're all in that boat, every one of us, the billions of people on the face of this earth. And it just takes that one moment to look at Jesus and get out of the boat. If you want to walk on water, you got to get out of the boat. John Ortberg, I think it was John Ortberg or Max Lucado, somebody wrote a book that it's called that. If you want to walk on water, you got to get out of the boat. So if you're watching this and you're in your comfort zone, you're just playing it safe, get out of the boat.
Mark Batterson wrote that book, All In, and he talked about that, right? Where he talked about how you only need 20 seconds of insane courage to step out of the boat. And he used that, right? Because a lot of people, it's real easy for people who are in the boat to criticize the water walkers, right? Because they're in the comfort of the boat, but none of them walked on water. The story was not written about them. And so he went on to talk about how in this life, we're either making headlines or we're on the sidelines.
Right.
I don't want to be on the sidelines, and I know you're not. But we're out there making it happen. And again, coming on here is a big deal. And I'm a little bit starstruck by everybody that's agreeing to come on here. I've talked to some big names, and I've got other people come out here, and it was just a text message or a little LinkedIn message that got this whole thing started, right? We're 1 degree of separation away. We're no longer, we're one message away from having somebody on here. And so those of you guys that are joining on here live, thank you so much. Put in the comment section where you're from. If you have any questions you want to ask Michael Norton, former president of Ziglar Corporation, right now executive vice president over at Sadler Training. And so anything you guys want to know, don't hesitate. If you're watching this on the replay, just, comment. I'll answer that question later and get back to you. But Michael, what can people do right now specifically to be able to live their best, most fun life in 2024?
So here's a little bit I'll give you that, Ziglar was in the skills-based, we'll teach you sales skills, we'll teach you leadership skills, we'll teach you customer service skills. Sandler's in the same boat. We've got great skills that we can teach you, sales management, leadership, right? And anybody can teach you skills. You can pick up books, you can go to seminars, you can learn. What I would say to everybody listening to this, or anybody who's listening to this, it's about your behavior and your attitude, not just the skills. Like Mr. Ziglar said, a positive mental attitude will not allow you to do anything, but a positive mental attitude will allow you to do everything. And I mean everything better than a negative attitude will. We have to show up every day believing the best in ourselves and believing the best in other people. The world is cynical. We can find, if we look, say you want to look for the bad, like people go around looking for the bad, like there's a reward for it, right? You can find bad everywhere. It takes a good finder, somebody who's going to go out and look for the good. And that starts with your mindset and the behaviors. Sometimes we wake up, Johnny, and we don't want to go to work. Sometimes we wake up and we don't want to make sales. Sometimes we wake up and we just don't want to do it. You can behave your way into a good day. Just think of this. How many times do if somebody's in, they're into their workout world, right? They want to work out. They wake up one morning, a Saturday morning, just like this, and they say, I don't feel like working out. I don't want to go to the gym today. But they go. And within 5 minutes of being inside the gym, it's like, I behaved my way in, and I'm doing it, and I feel great. So behavior and attitude. Mr. Ziglar was the penultimate in behavior and not just skill. He gave us tons of skill. But you talk about behavior and attitude.
Yeah. So I recently went through the audio course of Born to Win. And towards the end of the course, Mr. Ziglar says, I'm going to give you this one quote that's going to be worth the entire course, in and of itself. And he tells the story, well, Ziglar, why don't you just start with that one? But he said, logic will not change an emotion, but action will. And ever since I've gone through the Choose to Win certification program with Tom Ziglar, that's what I've been doing. And it's that instead of the ready, set, aim, it's the aim, set, ready.
So I'll tell you something about that book. I've known Tom personally since 1998. So we're like brothers, and I was blessed enough when unfortunately I lost my first wife to cancer, and then I got blessed. God blessed me with a second wife, and Tom actually was my officiant at the wedding.
Wow.
And when he wrote that book, I read it cover to cover, and I highlighted, underscored it, notes in the margins, and I gave it to him. I gave it back to him, and I said, "Give me a clean copy." A year from everything I wrote in my book, in your book, that everything I underscored, everything I highlighted, everything I said I was going to change about my life, it hold me accountable next year. A year from today, that I did all those things, and I gave him the book, and I wrote inside the cover of the book that you have arrived. You're no longer on your dad's coattails. This book is as good as any book Zig ever wrote. Choose to Win. And the one thing I tell people to this day, when I speak, when I coach, when I talk to anybody, and they ask me what makes a difference, I say, I choose. not waiting for the world to let me win. I choose every day to win. And it starts with my perfect start that Tom talks about in the book. How I start my day dictates how my day will go. And every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's why I had this thing made right here. And I have my own little thing that I brand, right? The Fun Life Community. It's got a nice little playful octopus because we talk about the 8 key areas of people's lives, where I basically just added community to the 7 that Zig already has. And then I talked about the 8 key primary motivating factors of why people do anything, right? Be happy, healthy, you know. And then we talk about the 8 habits, basically taken from the 7 habits of highly effective people. I just added an 8th one in there. And so that's why that octopus represents it. But that octopus is also so indicative of being adaptable, being able to change and to pivot. And I was one of the people that was selected to go through the pandemic class, the first virtual class of Choose to Win, which Tom said was the best class he'd ever done virtually, because it was the only class he'd done virtually. And it was so interesting to see Tom lead us through something nobody's ever gone through. And I basically took everything we learned that he was teaching us, and I did it here in my community, and consequently had probably the best year I'd ever had financially. And then that bled over into 2021, and it got even better. 2022 was insane. 2023 was a little bit more challenging, but we had made more money than we had previously. And it's just continuing to grow, and we're just stepping out of our comfort zone every single day. But you're right, the perfect start. This morning, I didn't feel like working out. I got up and I did my little exercises, did my little stretches, but I feel good because of it. And so I'm not sure what your routine is, but that routine helps you. What is that? Motivation gets you there. The discipline keeps you there. And so talk to us about discipline. That's one that I'm kind of struggling with.
Oh, this I didn't know about you. I'll go back just for a second. So you were the first virtual class. I was the last in-person class. So I was with Tom the week before they announced the pandemic. I didn't have to go through ZLC. I was already certified. I had all the content. I had everything. My wife wanted to go through. My new wife Kim wanted to go through, and so we went. And I went through it just like any other student would go through it the week before they announced the pandemic. So I was the last physical class of ZLC, and you were the first virtual class. How cool is that?
I tell you what, man, that's it was so interesting to do it, because then we got to go through it again in person when everything opened back up. And I won't admit this, well I will here. I kind of like the virtual. I mean, the in-person was awesome, but to have learned so much virtually, because now it's kind of part of life. He taught us how to look at the lens and not down here at the screen. He taught us posture and lighting, and we learned so much, and now it's just part of everything that we do. And so when I go on here live every day, when I come on here, I'm not talking as if I'm talking to a screen. I'm literally talking as if I'm sitting at the desk across the desk from you. Yep. Like I'm in your living room with you. And so that's given me, I don't want to say the courage, the conviction to be able to come on here and do it. But man, I mean, one day we're going to look back and see, wow, you don't know how big something can get until you keep doing it, right? The people that are doing big things are just the people that were disciplined enough to do the small things consistently and persistently.
The big shot is just a little shot. The big shot is the little shot who just kept shooting.
Man, what else? What else can you share with this, Mike, that just will help people continue to grow and live their best, most fun life?
So the thing I would tell you is that the greatest joy I have in life when I'm traveling, I'm sitting on an airplane, sitting next to somebody, or just, I meet people, and it doesn't matter what age, Johnny. As soon as I say the name Zig Ziglar, that I was blessed enough to, be part of that organization and part of the family. Like even young kids, like Zig Ziglar, my dad would listen to that all the time in the car. they grew up like, it's just his truths. And I literally just had this conversation. I was on with a bunch of a couple of pastors yesterday on a call about coaching ministers and pastors in Latin America, and how much they need it. They work full-time jobs, and like they're mechanic all week, 6 days a week, and then they take care of their church on Sunday, and every night, whatever's going on in the community. And we were having this conversation that it doesn't matter what we do. We're called. And you can't say no. Like, I don't know about you, there's that hymn, Here I Am, Lord. Those chords, those first chords of that song, my eyes wet. I get tears running down my eyes because here I am, Lord. So they go, whether it's a push, a pull, a nudge, a wink. So here's a great story for anybody again who might be listening to this. And Zig never thumped the Bible at anybody from the stage, but he talked truth, biblical truth, all the time. The older he got, he became more overt, up on stage and talking about his faith. We were at an event, probably 6,000, 7,000 people there, and then we were in the cafeteria having lunch after Zig had already spoken, and these women came up and said, "So Zig, you talked about setting goals, and at your age, are you still setting goals?" And what does he always say? "Yeah, I'm still buying green bananas, and I'm not retired. I'm refired. I'm not giving up, letting up until the good Lord takes me up." He goes, "As a matter of fact, my number one goal, I'm going to die pretty soon." He goes, he was probably get close to 80, and he goes, my time here is going to be done, but when I go, I'm taking as many of you with me as I possibly can. Now, somebody who's not, biblically oriented, you tell somebody you're about to die, you're going to take out no, I'm going to lead you to Christ. When I go, take you with me to the feet of Jesus. And that is that's what we're called to go do. It doesn't matter. You can be a plumber, a lawyer, a doctor, an Indian chief, a baker, a candlestick maker, all those salesperson. But our job is to take people with us as we possibly can.
Yeah.
To the future.
Man, I love to hear that, because that gives me, whenever we talk a lot in our coaching and our speaking, I do a ton of scripture. I mean, I love how Mr. Ziglar said that he never spoke about it, taught about it, or trained about it unless he ran it through the physical, the physiological filter, the theological filter, and the psychological filter. If it didn't pass those three filters, but man, you could pretty much everything he taught, every principle, every thought, every principle, you could almost put a chapter and verse to it.
Yep.
And that's what's that's why I gravitated towards it. Matter of fact, it was Jacob Salem, the guy that actually got me to
Jacob's.
Yeah, Jacob's awesome, and he put a backpack with all the stuff for Ziglar, and I just happened to be shopping for a backpack for my daughter on Amazon, and I put it in the cart, and then I went back over to Facebook, and I started scrolling. Well, that backpack came up, and I was like, wow, Ziglar has a backpack. And I said to myself, I'll just buy that and give my daughter the backpack and keep the book, because I was fixing to buy a book anyway. And lo and behold, when the backpack came in, everything, I found out that Ziglar had the certification program. And before you know it, I'm signing up, talking to Angie on the phone, and we're going. And so it was so interesting how everything came up, because the guys that aren't here, like Christy on here, and we've got Lawrence that's on here. We've got a lot of people, Linda, all you got. Hey, Billy Cox is on here. Everything doesn't just happen, right? Everything happens just. I don't think there's any coincidences. I don't think there's any happenstance. There's a reason, a rhyme, and a reason for everything. And I love it. Yeah. If we're going to do anything, I want to lead you to Christ, right? And I just made that comment about his book, See You at the Top, wasn't necessarily about the top of success.
You want to hear something funny? You said it earlier. You said Matthew 6:33.
Uh-huh.
Scripture. You actually quoted that scripture. So I'll give you something that not a whole lot of people, unless you really are intimately familiar with me. I've got a tattoo. I got it. I have it right here on my breast, on my chest here, and it's Matthew 6:33. It's my life verse.
Oh, wow.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God. So the funny thing was, the guy who actually did my tattoo, his name was Matthew. He said, he said, I've never tattooed my name on any.
A little different.
So yeah, so it's what we're wrapping up with here. It's seek God, just seek God first. Everything else will fall into place. It doesn't matter. Your finances, your job, your family, your kids, all the things you're going through, and there could be a hardship right now, and it feels uncomfortable, and it feels like you're going through a season of life. It really does. If you just turn to God, and so I told you a little bit ago, I lost my first wife to cancer, and we would go to the chemo ward and the radiation ward, and we're like in the hospital. We're in the thick of it, and I could tell you who had faith and who didn't. Like my wife was going through chemo and had a smile on her face. The nurses would be like, "Wow, like look at you," and she's like, "God's hands, it's not my hands. This is And you saw people panic, crying, and you know, and she's just knitting away. She's biding her time. She's reading a book, whatever she was doing. She's just like, yeah, God's got this, not me. Whatever this is going to. So whatever season of life you're going through, if you're listening to this, just seek God first. And
Yeah. I'll share my life verse and then we'll wrap this up because I do a lot of Matthew 6:33, but the one that's always been kind of at the forefront of my mind is the Jeremiah 29:11 about know the plans I have for you. And whenever you understand that your plans have already been written out, we just have to trust in God, right? He didn't give us plans to just prosper us, but he didn't give us plans to harm us, but to prosper us, plans to give us hope in a future. And that hope in that future gives us the power that we need today to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so I love what he said, that it's not about, actually it was Tom that shared this with us, that who your calling or your purpose is not meant to fit who you are today, but rather who you were created to become. And so if you're listening to this right now and you're struggling and you don't understand, Matthew 6:33, Jeremiah 29:11, just understand that there's a bigger purpose for you being on here. For you being, it's not an accident that you're watching this. It's not an accident that you're watching, Michael come on here and talk to you about Christ and about his, if you don't know this, I would have never known. I mean, how am I going to see your chest? That would be a little awkward. But I thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for coming on here. I can't express to you how humbling it is to be able to reach out through the connections that we've been able to make through the Ziglar family and be able to help and encourage and motivate and inspire our community, because that's really what this is all about, to help them be more, do more, and have more. And not just to have more, but to be able to give more and serve more and help more in the communities that we're around. I mean, I want people to become the parent that their kids need to see. I want them to be the spouse and the community leader that their community needs to witness. There's so much. And so, Michael, I can't say thank you enough for you agreeing to come on here. And I definitely appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Hey, you can have everything in life you want, John. You just help enough other people get. Not a quote. It's you live it. When you live it, life changes.
Man. Michael, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on here. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will definitely be in contact, man. Thank you. Oh, hey, really quick. If people resonated with anything that you shared, is there a way that they can get in contact with you? How can they find you?
You find me on Facebook. I'm not hard to find, but just or LinkedIn, Michael Norton at Sadler, Michael.Norton@Sadler.com is my email, Michael.Norton@Sadler.com. If you want to find me, I'm not hiding.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michael. You have a great rest of your day, man. I appreciate you. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
All right. Bye-bye. Guys, hey, listen, man, how awesome was that to have Michael Norton, former president of the Zig Ziglar Corporation, friend of Tom Ziglar, friend of the Ziglar family. He came to our Ziglar Legacy Recertification Program and just brought the fire. And he shared a story about the spindle top, one of the big oil derricks that was discovered on a guy's land, and how that man's life's changed. But really, it wasn't until it was discovered that man's life changed, because the oil was already there, just nobody had discovered it. And I'm going to tell you, if you're watching this right now, there's a wealth of value. So there's something rare. God only made one of you. He gave you that fingerprint that he didn't give to anybody else, right? He gave you that one fingerprint so that you can have an imprint in the lives of all. You have a story to tell. You have a lesson to teach inside of you. Some of you have an awesome experience to share. I get it. I understand, because of the trauma, because of the unworthiness mindset that can sometimes creep up, where we're like, we talk really bad to ourselves, like, who am I? Who would want to hear my story? I'm telling you, there's something special inside of you, right? You have greatness in you. Mr. Ziglar always said that man was designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with seeds of greatness. And if you ever wanted to know, if you ever doubted that God loves you, I'm gonna sit here and tell you, God knows exactly where you're at. God knows exactly what you're going through. He hasn't allowed you to go through it for any reason. Sometimes we just have to pray, God, what has this come to teach me? What have I come to learn from what it is that I'm going through, right? There's something that out of your test comes your testimony. And so, guys, again, like I shared with you guys yesterday, the Fun Life community, I've got one more spot for one more person to be able to come in. If any of this resonated with you, and if you want to be able to have a one-on-one conversation, call me. 15, 20-minute conversation. Go to johnnywan.com, hit the book the call, and if we decide that we need to go further, then we can decide at that moment. But it's just a 15, 20-minute conversation. I think it's a 30-minute call is on there, but it's only 15, 20 minutes. Nothing deep, nothing profound. Just let's have a conversation and see if this is for you. Because if you want to stop, like we talked about yesterday on Groundhog's Day, like the movie, if you want to stop reliving your life over and over and over again, you're going to have to do something you've never done. And so it's that point when you're at that moment of growth that all of a sudden you're going to have to make a decision. Do I step out of the boat, or do I stay in the comfort of the boat, right? Do you want to stay on the sidelines, or do you want to make headlines in your life? Guys, listen, thank you guys so much for being on here. Appreciate you. Again, johnnywan.com, book the call, or just give me a call directly, 903-570-0052. I appreciate you guys being on here. Thank you so much. Laura, Thomas, Billy, my man, Christy, appreciate you guys. Lawrence, Carl, hey, I can't tell you how awesome this is, and I'm excited. I've got the rest of February booked up with speakers. And again, we're going to be doing the taco fundraiser at the First Apostolic Church. I shared that earlier for the Path Mardi Gras fundraiser. You guys, if you're in the Tyler community, you're going to want to definitely come out. I'm going to create an event page on Facebook, but you can go to my Facebook profile and look at the comments, look at the flyer, when that's going to happen. It's February 10th at 11 o'clock until we run out. Hopefully we run out before 3 o'clock, but we're definitely going to go till 3 o'clock. So that you guys can come out and help with the Mardi Gras fundraiser. For the Mardi Gras King, yours truly, right, Johnny Juan Ortiz. Again, appreciate you. Love y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Adios.